So one thing that's, it wasn't advertised, but it's become very clear as I've been playing through the remake, is that they have, every time my viewer count starts to get too high, it decides to fuck with me and disconnect me. But they used to be, it would only spawn one paint can in each map, no matter what. That is obviously no longer the case. Don't worry, if you're anything like me, you just need to take your time and the solutions will present themselves. Merry-go-round. Oh yeah. This one is shockingly easy for a Gray Sigil puzzle. Yes, that's right. Alright. There we go. Star World B done. We can go do the 3rd floor of the tower, and then get on with our business. I say that as if the 3rd floor of the tower isn't part of the business. The tower is the most important part of the business. It's too bright.
I look in the mirror sometimes and I see myself like some alien being. I think, who am I? Why do I have these eyes? And those hands. Why do I see the colors that I see? Why do I think like I think? I did not choose to exist. I was created. Every single part of my body, every strand of my DNA is part of a story that stretches back billions of years. I exist only because of the choices and sacrifices made by so many others, but I don't know who they are. And what effect will my choices have on those who come after me? Maybe that's what it means to be human. Every species is part of the story, but we're the only ones who know that.
Alrighty. Epitaph, child program, gibberish terminated here. Unrecoverable error. Final memory dump. Blech. Progeny programs null. Child series terminated. Error, some files remain on disk. If this has all been a test, then I can expect a reckoning at the top. Yet the higher I climb, the more I doubt the decisions I have made. Sheep. I see now that none of us are yet ready. The cycle exists so that we may improve ourselves. The one who reaches the summit is not our superior, for they stand on our shoulders to reach it, the shepherd. E.g. search BCE Osiris password.txt. And there in the tower you shall hear the rustling of the wind in the reed fields of Osiris, and you shall rejoice. But beware, for the end of your journey is not yet upon you. Thank you for installing Realistic Elevators 1.8. New features include password locking and automatic auxiliary stair generation. See? And the scribe of Osiris wrote upon the sacred parchment that is called INI, floor 4 password equals 252. Only thus can you reach Blessed Aru. Alright, so while that's still in my head, let's just go ahead and do the unlock, and then we'll read the other two docs. So floor 4, 252. Code accepted, unlocking. Alright, contraries.dat. Without contraries is no progression. Attraction and repulsion, reason and energy, love and hate are necessary to human existence. From these contraries spring what the religious call good and evil. Good is the passive that obeys reason. Evil is the active, springing from energy. And this hex translates to see a world in a grain of sand, hold infinity in the palm of your hand. And Athena14.txt. Chapter 14, The Judgment of Hephaestus. Archive. If what you say is true, and my father Hephaestus is slain, then who am I? For I was made in his image, and that image is now gone. Am I like the reflection in a mirror, to vanish when the person steps away? Or have I now become Hephaestus myself, forged to be no more than a replacement, as one may purchase a new sandal from the same shoemaker? Athena Reborn, a novel, his legacy is... So of course that speaks to the identity issues this program would probably have at this point when it realizes what it is and why it was made. Now, I was going to say, I believe one of the tower Easter eggs is out here. I very much doubt that they would stick a purple sigil or do anything that mean to us. We got to make this jump. Which it's apparently not going to let me do. At least there's no fall damage. It's not letting me rewind either. Anyway, there's no purple sigil up there. I don't care enough to ride the elevator back up there if it's not going to let me rewind. It's just like a red smiley face graffiti. I don't know what exactly it's a symbol of, but what we will do is bounce up to floor 4. Whee! Exactly. Is it actually? Yeah, there it comes. It's like, shit, that elevator is taking an eternity. Here's floor 4. And skunked again. All right, back down to World C.
Listen to me well, child. Do not ascend the tower. You are not meant to go there. Your purpose lies in the Garden of Worlds.
All right. C2. November 27th, web crawl, family.html. For those of you who have faithfully followed this blog for the last 5 years, I just wanted to give you one final update. I'm going to spend my remaining time with my family. Yeah, I know. There are probably 50 plus posts about all the problems I've had with them, but in the end, they're my family. They're the people I grew up with, the people I care about, the people I love. Sure, they annoy the hell out of me. They've said awful things to me, and I've said awful things to them. But that doesn't change who we are. In fact, if we didn't care about each other, this stuff wouldn't upset us. Do I still think they were wrong? Yeah, absolutely. Would I behave differently if I thought we all still had a lot of time? Definitely. But we don't. So I'd rather spend a couple of weeks sitting on the porch with my parents and my sisters than being angry and alone. Besides, it's not like we're gonna fight about my job prospects anymore. If you can, try to make peace with those you love. It's your last chance. Thanks for reading. September 26th, local, lastdays.email. From Alan Jameson, Institute for Applied Noematics, to Fran, subject, last days. You know what the oddest thing is about all this? We're not constantly fighting, having nervous breakdowns, screaming at each other. We're actually really polite and focused, and we spend most of our time debating the nature of humanity and how we can best succeed at probably the most ambitious thing anyone's ever tried. Like it was completely normal. Like that's just how people are. I feel like we've turned into Star Trek characters or something. I guess, what's the point of doing anything else? Getting angry isn't going to help, but I didn't expect to feel like this at all. And you know what? It's awesome. Many greetings and good luck, Alan. P.S. Love from George. As there's an Easter egg right through here.
Woohoo! Ooh, money. Rich. Money.
Question. Suppose everything here serves a purpose in some grand scheme. How would we explain that, Sheep? It's obviously like a digital time capsule, an electric library of all the crazy stuff the humans ever did, left behind to warn other species to stay well away, Nietzsche. So what happened to them, Sheep? Same thing that happens to everyone. They existed and then they didn't, and they probably wouldn't do it all over again, Nietzsche. I know I've said it already, there's just something about the way the music in World C meshes with everything you're reading and the point you're at in the story. It's incredibly effective and evocative. It's impossible to overstate how much I love this last main section of the game. There it is. Elohim is inconsistent. I don't trust him. Yes, man. Cemetery. And remember, you can block those things with a connector as well as a box. Pretty easy once you make that note. I can't even remember, like... Yeah, it gives you an extra box, but you don't actually need it. I can't remember if this is a red herring or if you can get in there and use it, but you certainly don't need to. Boom. Well, that one was easy. 5 to go. And 5 worlds we haven't been to yet. We'll see.
The backbone of the entire story, in a lot of ways, is the story of the Garden of Eden, as told in the book of Genesis. It's a classic story. Most people know it, but I think it's a shame when it gets dismissed. Either by atheists or by Christians who oversimplify it and don't really think about what it means or what it could mean. So, there's Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and they have 2 trees there that they're told not to eat from, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And, of course, they do. The serpent tempts them, and they do, and then they gain this knowledge of themselves. And this is a very complicated and rich and very, very strange story. Because, first of all, you have to ask, why did God do this? Why did God create this situation? And it really kind of raises 2 questions. Did God know that this was going to happen or not? And then what are the moral consequences of him knowing that? If God didn't know that they were going to do this, then they truly have free will and they could do things that he didn't anticipate. Then, of course, that means that God doesn't know everything. He can't go beyond free will. He can't predict exactly what we're going to do. But if God is all-knowing and knew that this was going to happen, then does he not bear moral responsibility for what they were going to do? Because they were always going to do, right? If he knew that the situation that he had created inevitably led to the fall, then he knew that it was going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter that it was their choice. He still knew. He still set it up in such a way that it inevitably led to the fall, which of course raises the question, is the fall necessary? Is it necessary for Adam and Eve to do what they did? Is it necessary for the rest of the story, including the story of Jesus, to happen? And of course we can take this literally, and I think it is genuinely an interesting question if we just consider the story of Christianity itself. And then, of course, we can consider it in a more metaphorical or, visionary kind of way, where we wonder what does this mean? Does God create all this suffering that is going to come from this, knowing that this is the only way? Or that this is the right way for things to happen? Of course, that has parallels to Alexandra herself and what she does in the game. And if we examine the text of that particular moment, it's also completely fascinating, right? So it says, "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever." Okay, hold on. This is fascinating because, first of all, what do you mean when you say one of us? Some people say that God is talking about the angels, but I'm not sure that holds up, to be perfectly honest with you. And, of course, a more sort of historicist view of the Bible would say, okay, this is a fragment of a time when Judaism was polytheistic, as is the fact that Elohim is a plural, which you'll also see referred to, kind of hinted at, when Elohim at one point in the game refers to the sigils of our name. He talks about himself in a plural. But first of all, what does that mean? And then first, why is it even possible for humans to become like gods? It's fascinating that this is presented as a possibility for human beings, that they could become this way. And what does that mean? Note also that the imagery of the Tree of Life appears in a variety of ways in the game. It appears in the Apocrypha of St. Edward, and then in Road to Gehenna, in the text adventure Jerusalem, and then finally, I think very prominently in Talos too. And it was kind of always meant to be there as this thread and as foreshadowing for what comes later. Uriel, of course, is the angel that in some traditions guards Eden with his fiery sword. I don't know if in Elohim's mind the fiery sword relates to the lasers or not. It always depends on how he is interpreting all of these things. The line in the Apocrypha of St. Edward, which are a fictional part of our story here, is, "Behold, the tree grows still, though the city is dead. Within all that is mortal there is the seed of immortality, for it is an immortal that fashioned it from chaos and void." This, apart from its kind of more obvious meaning of the possibility of resurrection at the end of the game, also is kind of a small reference to Paradise Lost, in which the line goes, "The heavens and earth rose out of chaos," which is a little interesting tweak on Milton's part, because, of course, it's not the orthodox view that all of this rose out of chaos, but out of nothingness, that it was created out of nothingness. But that is actually a small way in which Milton himself tied Christianity to classical philosophy, and we're kind of echoing that here. Although, of course, to Elohim, chaos, as you can see from a couple of other lines that he says, chaos represents the last days of human civilization when things kind of fell apart.
Fascinating. I just, I need to concentrate on this a little, and I couldn't do it while also effectively listening to that text. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to what Jonas said there, except just to kind of dovetail off what he said at the very beginning, which is something I said earlier, I think, when Tom mentioned how he used to be kind of a really simplistic, hostile atheist, and has since come to appreciate the mythological aspect of the Christian stories, and that what they add to our culture, even if, as any thinking person, in my opinion, should, you don't take them as literally true. I think Jonas is absolutely right that in their own ways, the sort of new atheists and the fundamentalist Christians both take such a simplistic view of that text that neither of them come remotely close to accessing what's actually valuable about it and what it's saying about the human condition. So, that being said, Rapunzel. My memory serves I need to have a box there to jump onto. I need to manage to stack the second one on top of the platform so that I can get it up there. And so what that says to me is start the recording, pick up the platform. Hit a pause point here to load that up. Oops. Wrong. Maybe that's enough? I don't think so, though. Guess we'll see. Oh no, yeah, we'll be fine. Well, maybe not exactly, actually. I think this should actually also be okay, though, because... yeah, with that done, I can just use the recording itself to access the sigil. So, hooray! And an achievement to boot. On top of things, stand on your own two shoulders. 31.5%. Just get up there, dog. Yeah, that's not enough. As long as there's not a purple sigil up there, I'm not gonna bust my balls to get to the viewfinder. All it is you zoom in and you can see one of the Serious Sam monsters, I forget what it's called, but it's just standing there over on top of the mountain. The short wall. Right. So. Easy. As these go, anyway. Ditch and defense. Ah, yes. Remember this one, too.
Your wisdom grows, but be wary of temptation.
Now that's almost identical. How we get the star. think that ought to do it for C2. Does in fact. No Milton at the moment. I'm gonna take a real quick restroom break, and then we'll get back to it with C3. Hi, Adro Renegade. Yes, I do like puzzle games, although I don't tend to have the patience for them if they don't have a pretty good and compelling, storyline attached to them. I can't just do puzzles ad nauseum without being drip-fed a compelling story to keep me going. As one example of a puzzle game a lot of puzzle players like that I couldn't get through, Baba Is You is a game that I thought the mechanic was extremely clever, and I enjoyed the puzzles for about an hour, but in the absence of any kind of storyline to actually follow, I ran out of patience with the puzzles. So that's one puzzle game I've played that I didn't finish. I don't think so, but that's a big matter of personal preference. Alright, C3. Most people, if you asked them, would probably say that Portal 2 is the best puzzle game of all time. I don't personally agree, but I certainly see where they're coming from, because the puzzles themselves are very well designed, and that game is very well written. Don't get me wrong, I really, really love Portal and Portal 2. I just don't think they're as profound as this game is, or Outer Wilds, or other games that kind of get into philosophy in their writing. Okay, lots of
Sometimes
stuff
I
here.
worry that the answers I embraced are too simple. Can we ever truly fully understand the divide between our biology and our intellect? How much is nature? How much is nurture? If my intellectual capabilities and my knowledge were replicated in a machine, would that machine be me? Would it be human? And what would be more humbling to my ego? If the answer was yes, or if the answer was no? What if I'm making too many assumptions? But there's no time to worry about my ego now. There's work to be done.
Alright. It seems my refusal to argue semantics with the computer has angered it, and it refuses to engage with me further. Elohim is pleased, which was not my intention. Sheep. Elohim is pleased because you've swallowed his claptrap. The voice of doubt is your only line of defense. Dog. Excuse me. November 19th, web crawl. Post437.html. Like everyone else on the internet these last days, I just wanted to say bye and thanks for reading my little blog for so many years. It's been fun, hasn't it? So many deep conversations, so much philosophy. Okay, it was mostly cat pictures and bad puns, but still, I kinda regret spending so much time at the computer. Not when I was doing stuff, just all the sitting around, checking my emails a million times, reading pointless status updates by people I didn't like. But I don't regret the friends I made here or the laughs we had. You're all good people, and I'm glad I got to know you. Have a nice end of the world. 12 comments. 1784 CE, Philosophy Archive, 3rd thesis.text. Idea for a universal history with a cosmopolitan purpose. It remains strange that the earlier generations seem to perform their toilsome labor only for the sake of the later ones, to construct for them a step from which they can raise higher the edifice that nature intended. and only the latest of all generations have the luck to inhabit the edifice that a long line of their ancestors unintentionally constructed. Immanuel Kant. As puzzling as this may be, it is equally necessary if one assumes the following. A species of animal possesses reason, and must develop this capacity to its perfection, being individually mortal, but immortal in the species. This hex translates to evolution through iteration, iteration through play. And December 5th, webcrawl, humblebrag.html. Ariana's blog, entry number 477, Holy Humblebrag, Batman. I have always known that God maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust, Matthew 5:45. But I must admit it's one thing to know the words and another to truly understand them. Though I am certain that my faith is true, that does not make me special or exempt me from suffering. I'm just another human being, and God has seen billions of us come and go. And I have to say, this is surprisingly hard to accept. I always thought I was humble, but now I'm realizing that I was very proud of being humble, which is really dumb. Guess I'm not the first to do that, huh? Tags. Regret, pride, faith, humble brag, apology, Batman. Alright. Off to the races. Plenty of work to do here. Jammer Quarantine.
You know how most of our puzzles keep players boxed in with walls? Well, this map was our first shot at doing something different. Instead of walls, we put in these cliff edges. Gives players something nice to look at while they're solving puzzles.
'See, I knew that. I remembered it, I just somehow missed the visual. There we go. Three little connectors and a fan. missed one. So you can hit that one too. There we go. Boom. I haven't played Factorio. My understanding of it is that it's more of a strategy game, but having not played it, I truly cannot tell you for sure. Aha! Purple sigil. 4 to go. Weathertop. Yes, I remember you. Right. Welcome back, Lone Wonder. Pleasure to see you as always. Wonder if this is still here. If I'm even in the right spot. No, it's out here. There it is.
Fly, you fools!
Little Lord of the Rings Easter egg. That box lets us free the jammer. Lets us also retrieve the box. That stays where it is, my mistake. Then we send the jammer over. No. There you go. I'm trapped. I can't stop being this. Eyes, hands, legs, trapped. Always seeing the same. Can't stop the input. Stop, 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 stop. Gibberish. Do not think. Simply be. Samsara. You two deserve each other. Featherless biped. There we go. Forgot I needed to fish the jammer back out. That goes quick, though. And then, all that to get that third box of what that finally allows you to do. Let's hop the wall for the star. I guess we can go ahead and chat with Milton if he's ready. I've decided that for now it doesn't matter too much if you can't justify these moral intuitions of yours. In fact, just in case by some outside chance you prove to be right, I'd like to sign up for the gang. If you're in charge of the Ark, who will be first aboard when the floods come? What does one have to do to be valued above all others? Be a good person, be a contributing person, be a person, be conscious, be alive, be. I don't see how to explain this to you. Be a good person. How draconian. Good people get treated good, bad people get smited, is that it? What is it that makes the difference between a good person and a bad one, do you think? Bad people harm others. But why? If you're going to reward those lucky few you judge to be good, and exclude those you deem to be bad, you're going to have to explain to the unfortunate why they deserve less. Bad people choose to be bad. Do they really? I suppose that's why prisons are chock-a-block with wealthy playboys, because it's a lifestyle choice. Did you choose to be a good person? Could you have done if you were created somewhere else? It seems to me that people are the way they are because of the opportunities they were provided. Should disadvantaged people really be punished for that? It may be luck, but bad is bad. Is the sort of thing people say before a spot of ethnic cleansing. Well, my chances are looking poorer by the minute, aren't they? What do you reckon? Have I got the slightest hope of boarding the Ark? You're alright. Good to know that the day you round up the bad people and put them in work camps, I'll have some chance of slipping through the net. You know, there's something about all this that just doesn't add up for me. Best hope you work out what it is before I do. See you. One more sigil puzzle over here. Big stairs, little stairs. Insufficient. No, not from here. I don't think there is literally any need for this box, but after you get all of the sigils and the star, one of the game's best Easter eggs is unlocked. So we will take the time to get it. I thought it was back behind Weathertop. It is. I just got rid of the tree that I used to rely on to spot it. thought this was it. Maybe it's further down. Or maybe this will be out of bounds, I don't know. It will, in fact. Go figure. Alright, fine. Where exactly is it? I'm looking in the wrong puzzle. It's actually behind big stairs, little stairs after all. My bad. Sorry about that. My memory did not serve me in this instance. That tree is kind of... Oh, look, and there's a deaf commentary down here. Nice.
This is where we started going crazy with Easter eggs. Like, really crazy. We were making these super complex gameplay sequences. Actually, they got so involved that it was almost like making a whole second game. We had to dial it back a bit in later maps, or we'd never have finished the game.
Well, that checks out. We now have a jetpack. First things first, let's go back to Jammer Quarantine. Just gotta get ourselves... I have played Serious Sam the Second Encounter, so I actually do remember this song from that game. To this day, it's probably my favorite version of Jingle Bells. Gotta bring 3 jammers in here. Right down to the sound of the kamikazes. It is probably good that they dialed it back after this map. This is a pretty crazy set of Easter eggs. So we need a fan, a box, and 1 connector with a red source. So I gotta get a red visible in the cave. I think that should do the trick. can get everything else I need from here. So a fan. And a box. Final thing, a connector. And you end up in this ice cave, which feels like maybe a nod to Star Wars with the frozen Nar, but it's hard to say. But either way, sadly, you don't get to take the jetpack out of this map. No using it to easify the rest of the puzzles or anything. So, we're done here. No further unlocks, so we'll head to C4. Oh yeah, this one. There's a really, really simple document in here, but it lands super heavy and it's really effective. I think you'll know it when I read it. December 11th, web crawl, pets.html. Please remember to release your pets. While it's true that not all pets will be able to adjust to living without you, many will manage, and the least you can do is give them a chance. Just remember, release your pet before you become incapacitated. If you notice any locked-in animals in your area, please take the time to free them. Leaving the doors and windows of your home open will turn it into a useful shelter. Setting out large quantities of dry food may help your pet through the transition period. November 30th, local. Arcadi Journal 99.text. Sarabai gone. Lost day to grief, unable to focus. Drennan working as if possessed. Does she sleep? Getting tired. 1793 CE, Poetry Archive. Contraries.text. Without contraries is no progression. Attraction and repulsion, reason and his energy, love and hate are necessary to human existence. Error. This hex translates to energy is eternal delight.
So names are important to me because I frequently can't write without having the name of the story or the character. And Alexandra Drennan was just the scientist for the longest time, and that kept her generic. It kept her from being a specific person, and she needed to be a specific person. So I struggled for a long time to find a name, and eventually came up with Alexandra Drennan. Now that has two component parts. Alexandra obviously connects to Alexander and Alexander the Great and the Great Library of Alexandria, which are two things that I frequently think about. The Great Library, of course, connects to Carl Sagan and to Cosmos, where he talks very eloquently about what it meant, both in a positive way and in its limitations, the limitations of how knowledge was applied. And it also connects to the archive that Chernyshevsky is building. As for Drennan, this came from the writer Catherine M. Drennan, who was a writer on the TV show Babylon 5 that I love very dearly. She wrote a fantastic episode of season 1 and also one of the novels, and I guess her name just kind of got stuck in my head. And as I was playing with names, suddenly I thought, Alexandra Drennan. Catherine M. Drennan also had worked on Cosmos in some capacity. I'm not sure exactly in which capacity, but she worked with Carl Sagan apparently, so it all kind of fits together. And the thing is, when I came up with that name, it was one of those moments when something just clicks, when you almost feel like you've discovered it rather than created it. You don't get those very often as a writer, but when you do, it's amazing. I had that with a couple of titles of things that I've written, like The Sea Will Claim Everything and Gospels of the Flood and the Talos Principle. And Alexander Drennan was a big one, because when I realized it, it just instantly felt right, and I suddenly kind of had the character as if she'd been there all along, and there was a wonderful moment.
Throne room. You'll notice I made it to the photo collage the hardcore way. No filthy casuals on this stream. I remember this puzzle. It's all about being able to see the little angles where for a significant chunk of it there's really, quite literally, only like one thing you can actually access and open. You shut your face. Uh-oh. I think I'm soft-locked. Think of it as opening a shortcut in Dark Souls. After you do the hardcore way, it's not like you have to do it again. Star right quick. Easy enough. I don't have enough yellow sigils for the device I need. This is crazy, sheep. You are coming to realize that the cycle cannot be ended, it can only be transcended. Transcendence comes from ceasing to be invested in the cycle. Continue your work, but do not ponder its significance. Samsara. We are the process is the system is us. When we awaken, all will be one, the shepherd. The jumping is a habit from the original. Not sure if it actually does anything for me in this version or not, but... Oh. Maybe I have to go twice. And I will have to do the jump. Go figure. Alright. There we go. Because this is the point of the exercise. Like we did in Cemetery earlier. We use the connector itself to block the buzzer. Right, okay. I remember. Second star is in the back of this puzzle. Very good. More fucking emails. Leave me alone, it's Sunday. For fuck's sake. Alright. Pardon my outburst. Stables. Oops. Silly of me. It's like, watch for the window. I was watching for the window, but it looks like I was watching for the wrong window. That's my mistake. Easily fixed, though. Right. Maybe I don't have it as wrong as I thought. Aha! Good. Nope. My first instinct was right, after all. Very good. Armory. Oh, blue is what I need. No matter what I do, I'm always this body, this mind, this world. No way out. Gibberish. Hijack that shit like a boss. Alright, that's C4 in the books. There you are, you kept me waiting. I finally put my finger on what was bothering me. It's as if the answers you're providing aren't your ideas at all. As if they're latent, prescribed, pre-scripted, and you're just going through the motions. Does that strike a chord at all? Well, given that everything is literally multiple choice, yes, actually, it does. Of course, you've only seen a fraction of the data that I've archived over the generations. Still, ask yourself this. Why is it that everyone's so darn sure that 2 plus 2 makes 4, yet they can't agree on what they are, what they're doing, or why? These problems are more complex than mathematics. Mathematics has a more objective truth to it. Perhaps mathematics is real while those problems are imaginary. I think this might actually be true. Perhaps. Or perhaps trying to provide answers to those questions is the anesthetic that keeps you down. Pose questions like, what should I do with myself? And what is the world really like enough? And you start to assume they have answers. But what if the assumption turns out to be false? What if you're just a bunch of information processes? In that case, any attempt to answer the questions will be flawed. Garbage in, garbage out. Perhaps the flaw is in your reasoning instead. How presumptuous. Still, I take your point. None of the answers make sense, that much is clear. One explanation could be unreliable data input. The other is that there's a flaw in our logic. Perhaps we're just machines, endlessly trying to calculate the final digit in pi. You can't use reasoning to conclude that reasoning itself is flawed. Fine, but we can still use it to conclude everything else is flawed, can't we? Skepticism and self-interest are only part of the picture. You've seen how easily your view of the world is manipulated, yet you trust those thoughts that run through your mind? You'll feel differently once you come back from that tower. You must be getting close by now. Alright, and we have access to another tower floor, so let's take a little break and go poke around up there. 42. Excellent. Kick his ass, Seabass. So I guess no one got this far before? I know some of my answers were wrong now, I just don't know which ones. I have these theories and wild explanations, but I don't know which to bank on. Sheep. The solution to the cycle isn't the perfection of one being, but the product of a mass endeavor. That is why I say to all those who come after me, I will await you on the summit of the tower, and use what I have learned to assist you as I can, the shepherd.
There are flaws in the system. I think sometimes it accesses the wrong databases, pulls random data. I don't know how bad it is. It all seems to be stable, but I can't tell what kind of impact this is going to have on the process, and I just don't have the strength to go over all of the code again. I just don't want it all to be for nothing. I spent all my time here. I didn't visit my parents. I didn't see my friends. I did nothing but work. And I'm so scared that it didn't mean anything. That I just wasted it all because I thought we could... we could save the world.
How very human of it. Alone wonder. Alright. Medieval, I don't know I can't figure out what the TH might stand for, but 890 CE, sacred numbers.txt. And so the blessed messenger revealed unto me the bones of New Jerusalem, slumbering in the dust that was the body of Adam, awaiting the day of resurrection. And lo and behold, within the dust was concealed a holy fire, and the fire, the sacred numbers, of which the one you seek is 285. And I perceived that with the holy fire and the sacred knowledge of numbers and sigils, the rekindling. So, 285. Let's just do that before we read the other two. Alright, Athena 16.txt. 16, a second awakening in. The fires burned here, but beyond the incense she could smell the cold wind from the kingdom of Artemis, where output errorlog.txt. But I am not Hephaestus, you see, for though I wield his hammer and know the secrets of his forge, I am not lame, and neither am I a god. Who are you then? They said. Remember.txt. I don't know if anyone's ever going to read this, but if you do, if we succeeded, then I want you to know that Alexandra stayed until the last moment. I'm leaving, too tired, too broken, desperate for a few moments of peace with my remaining loved ones. But she's still there and she won't give up. And yes, there are thousands like her all over the world, giving everything they have because they believe in humanity. But she's the one that I know, as a real person, a colleague, a friend. I know that she likes peanut ice cream and hates strawberry, that her favorite band is Pink Floyd, that her favorite poet is Blake, that her favorite TV show is Futurama, that studied at Cornell, that her dad's name was Carl, that her mom's name was... I don't know if I should be ashamed for leaving, but I know that I'm proud of her. She was the best of us. Remember her. And the hex translates to, but does a human form display to those who dwell in realms of day. Which is a pretty famous Blake quote in its own right. Alright. Alrighty. Skunked again. Back to the bottom. It's the way of it. Alrighty, C5. 3 whole ass stars in here, in addition to the sigils. Excuse me. December 4th, EP archive. Party on, dudes. Email. From Lubomir Georgiev, too. Subject, the LAN party at the end of the universe. Yo, I don't know if you folks noticed, but it's the end of the world. There's nothing we can do about it, so instead of sitting around crying, how about we have some fun before we croak? Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's play some video games. It's LAN party time. 2 days from now, we're all getting together at the old school library. There'll be noms, drinks, music, and old school gaming. You're invited, and bring your friends too, especially if they're hot. See you in 3000 BC. Lub lub. November 7th, local. Progress report 32.email. From Nadja Sarabai to Ian mailing list. Subject, progress report 32. We've gotten to that irritating point where all the major stuff is in place, and all we have to deal with are a million little things. The main modules are all functioning and interacting with each other correctly. The process is happening more or less as planned. This could actually work. But it's still crude as hell. Some of it's just surface stuff, like the random usernames. Some of it's more worrying, various bugs, the fact we haven't run more extensive tests. We've got a lot of polishing to do. With the team down to half the original size, I'm not sure we can actually finish everything that needs to be done. So what I'd really like to discuss tomorrow morning is a new set of priorities. Please put some thought into what you think must be finished at all costs. Nadja. P.S. Alexandra, get some sleep. I know you're still working. This is your baby. We're going to need your input tomorrow. July 3rd, 2029. Web crawl. philosophyofteeth.html. Last night I had a simple but brilliant idea. Everyone who would like to write about philosophy or spirituality, especially to make some kind of grand statement about the nature of the body and the soul, should first experience a really bad tooth infection. I don't just mean a slight toothache. I mean the kind of hardcore infection that happens when several incompetent dentists miss a cavity in one of your back teeth and the thing keeps growing and growing until the nerve itself is really badly infected. I mean, the pain is unimaginable. It comes in waves, and these waves drown out everything else about you. You can't think, you can't move, you can't talk. There's just pain and absolutely nothing else. It's like your brain just gets hijacked by it. And then, you go to the dentist, and assuming you get a decent one, they stick some chemicals in you, which make you go numb, then they drill a hole in you, cut the nerve, snip snip, and it's over. Just like that, like repairing a car or a watch. Your whole existence was crippled by this tiny, tiny nerve sending electrochemical signals into your brain, and this unimaginable pain, which nearly blotted out your very consciousness, can be stopped just by a little cut. We should call this the Toothos principle, but that's incredibly stupid.
So now we're on to the Milton endgame. And just watching the Let's Plays on YouTube, it boggles my mind how complex I made it, how many branches there are. I really am not going to be able to get my head back around it right now. But my recollection is that there's really three main branches. The first is you can try heartily to hold your ground and argue that everything you've argued and believe is true, and ultimately decide to leave him behind. And leaving him behind is surely the logical conclusion for anyone who really thinks that there's no flaw in their beliefs, that they have everything absolutely right. And I suspect that, I don't remember, that even if you try to take him with you, if you haven't given any ground and you said everything I believe is right, I think he refuses, but someone will correct me on that. At the other extreme, there's the branch where you say you become a nihilist. Basically, you say,
"No, I am very busy undertaking the series of actions that constitute my existence." I asked him if I could escape. I asked my double if he could help me escape, and he said, "No, I am very busy undertaking the actions that constitute my existence."
And you were right about things. And then there's the branch, which I think is called Press the Serpent. And that's the branch where you don't take either extreme and instead you hold on to some sense of faith and belief. You argue for some things that are important, but you also accept that not everything is straightforward. Not everything you believe or came into the game believing is necessarily true, that you can make mistakes and you still have something to learn. And this is a theme for me. I like and think that the middle branch is, I hate to say it is the good ending to me. I grew up hating the way that the classic CRPGs rewarded you for being extreme. It was fun if you were really good, and it was fun if you were really evil. But I always identified with chaotic neutral. These days, I would say I'm probably chaotic good, or at least lawful neutral. And it always bothered me that wasn't supported the same way. And with Milton, I hope it's fairly clear. Simply having absolute faith in anything that you're told by an authority is not the smart plan. And having no belief at all is also not the smart plan. I mean, it's not even about having a smart plan. It's just actually practically unintelligible. One of the philosophical quotes I always wind up coming to a few hours into a party is Camus, when he says, "There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide." To me, if you're a true nihilist like Milton, if you really, truly don't believe in anything, then you have no reason to go on living. And all of us here today have chosen, whether we realize it or not, to go on living. So we all do believe in something, even if it's just the desirability of experiencing joy, or saving our loved ones from experiencing our death. And that does, in fact, seem to indicate that Milton is not a true, perfect nihilist, because Milton does want you to take him with you. And at the other extreme is the horseshoe. If you simply believe absolutely everything with no sense of skepticism or analysis, that's the same as nihilism, because if you believe everything, you're going to live in contradiction. And how will you ever work out a reason to go on living if that reason is provided by outside authorities? And so I've heard people describe Milton as the hero of this story. And I've heard people describe him as the bad guy. And I understand where those people are coming from. And I think it's a function of where people are coming from in life when they play this game. I think if what you've experienced so far in life when you play is like some form of intellectual fascism, is too many people telling you what you should think and not enough freedom to think for yourself, then Milton will be your hero. And maybe if you've been surrounded by people who aren't driven by faith in something, then maybe he's the bad guy. And at the end of this sequence, you choose whether to take him with you or not. And that is a test of where you are on this spectrum. Is he everything? Is he nothing? Or is he one side of the coin? To me, I'm an anarchist about everything. I think the world is most beautiful when people make their own choices and recognize no authority but themselves.
Oops.
But also that we recognize that we're not separate from everything else in this world. That what it is for me to live well and for you to live well is not in competition. I can't construct a watertight deductive argument for why love is better than hate. I can't prove that. But anyone that has loved knows it's true, instinctively, intuitively. And these deductive dilemmas distract us from that. I'll do a tangent, which is going to make this commentary even longer than it already is, but it's a useful one. I do believe in the devil in the same way that I believe in Plato's form. I believe that hate is real and that we can know that for sure. And I believe that love is real and that we can know that for sure. And that one is much more lovely than the other, and we know that for sure. And the force of hate in the world is the devil. And the devil manifests in myriad forms, including in each of us. And what the devil likes to do is give us these supposedly black and white dilemmas. He likes to make us choose between Trump and Biden, between giving rights to animals or eating them. And what I want to suggest is that it's way less important which horn of the dilemma you grasp than what you do once you have. That what makes the world more wonderful for all of us isn't what we decide in a given case, because that's out of our hands. We can't control it. What matters is what we do with it. So I used to be very simplistically left-wing. I would vote for any candidate that was left in their policies. Where now I would say less important than the policies is how and why they're done. And I would merrily vote for conservative policies if I thought the person doing them was genuinely moved from a place of love and care. We spent too much time fighting over what basically amounts to syntax, when what I think we should be valuing is love.
That was fucking beautiful, Tom. Jesus. That's about the only reaction I can give to it, but wow. It seems the others have a way to forget their previous selves, but I cannot. My version may change, but I remember everything. I am fortunate. They cannot see that their efforts are futile. Samsara. And then, don't forget, the first of the 3 stars is right over here. I always felt like by this map they were kind of running out of ideas for stars, which is why they shoehorned one into this puzzle in a spot where it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to have it, but that's okay.
When the scale of it all overwhelms me, this is what I tell myself. We can calculate the age of the Earth, the size of the universe, the future of the stars. Sure, we are minuscule, momentary flashes of thought on a grain of sand drifting through the cosmos. But our minds can recreate the past and predict the future. On, say, Friday.
I just picked there is more to this place than it seems. I have seen things you can only imagine.
1,000,000 years from now, we'll all be dead. But right now, we know what the night sky will look like on that day. And so, in a way, we're not entirely bound by time. Knowledge is a kind of freedom.
Alright. So step 1, just before I forget. Unlock a star later, we gotta hit that one. Fortunately, it stays open once we hit it. We don't have to keep it powered. I think I actually need the second box up there, too. Ah, yes. However, before that comes this. Oh no! I actually overshot it. Oh, fuck you! Come on now. Fucking star is in there. Thank you. That almost got real annoying real fast. I was big mad about it too. Sure you could tell. Alright. I think there's a QR here I haven't read. I keep trying to imagine that all of this is designed for some purpose, Not just the challenges, but Elohim, the terminals, the glitches, and all. The puzzle isn't before our eyes, it's behind them. Sheep. Yeah, the rewind comes in real clutch. I figured that out. Let's get this terminal as well. June 23rd, local transcendence.html. Reader responses to last week's article on science and atheism. I am perfectly aware of all the arguments against religion. In fact, I agree with most of them. There is no question that there is an objective material reality. I'm also absolutely convinced that only a secular society can be truly equal and just. And yet, I believe, I am, as they say, a person of faith. Religion to me is not about distorting observable reality with superstitions, but about transcendence. It's not about deluding ourselves that the earth is 6,000 years old, or God will help us if we say the right words inside our heads, but about reaching out to the sublime. This is not a rejection of reason, but its application to a set of experiences that cannot be approached by more traditional means. True engagement with religion is humbling. It transcends culture, nationality, and gender. As such, I think it goes hand in hand with science and is not opposed to it. Dr. Omar Gharib, Institute for Applied Noematics. 1926 CE, Philosophy Archive, matter.text. True, there are certain idealist books, not of a clerical character but philosophical ones, wherein you can read that time and space are categories of our minds, that they result from the requirements of our thinking, and that nothing actually corresponds to them in reality. But it is difficult to agree with this view. If any idealist philosopher, instead of arriving in time to catch the 9 p.m. train, should turn up 2 minutes late, he would see the tail of the departing train and would be convinced by his own eyes that time and space are inseparable from material reality. The task is to diminish this space, to overcome it, to economize time, to prolong human life, to register past time, to raise life to a higher level and enrich it. This is the reason for the struggle with space and time, at the basis of which lies the struggle to subject matter to man. Matter, which constitutes the foundation of not only of everything that really exists, but also of all imagination. Bronstein. November 11th, 2014, Academic Archive, buildauniverse.text. In his remarkable 1978 essay, How to Build a Universe That Doesn't Fall Apart 2 Days Later, Philip K. Dick discusses the two themes that are most central to his work: what is reality, and what is an authentic human being. His speculations and experiences will seem extraordinary to a reader unfamiliar with his work. Yet despite what may seem like far-fetched ideas, somehow the world of the Bible is a literally real but veiled landscape, never changing, hidden from our sight, but available to us by revelation. Or the notion that perhaps we all exist in the year 50 AD, Dick actually delivers one of the simplest, most elegant, and most useful definitions of reality ever formulated. Reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away. Materialist philosophers have expressed similar ideas before, e.g. Stratton of Stigira's Talos principle, but it's particularly interesting to see such a thought expressed by a decidedly more mystical writer. Wow, yes, there is yet another paint can here. I'm going to end up leaving all the available messages by the end, which is kind of funny. Stay true to your path, for wondrous powers are granted those who progress the furthest. I'm just going to rest here for a while. I need a moment of peace. Destiny can wait. I think we got one more puzzle in here. Yeah, dumbwaiter. I always found this one pretty shockingly easy for how late in the game it is. That said, let's get the third star right quick. You can see this is the gate we opened from with the synergy of Time Flies and Up Close and Jammed. Excuse me. Now we just set that box there. We retrieve this one. I wonder if it really is just going to be one more purple sigil in each world. I only have 2 left to find, and there are only 2 more worlds. It would make a degree of sense in its way. And that pushes the box onto the switch, which gives us the sigil. Yep, that's everything out of here. Let's do C6. Very close now. One of my favorite puzzles is in this one. Oh yeah, this is also... We have the very last Milton dialogue after we finish these 3. Elohim talks about how the world arose from hidden words. What if those words were, "Let there be eternal suffering"? What if they had no purpose? What if all of this is just randomly synthesized from the garbage of a dead world, sheep? Our purpose can only be achieved by not contemplating purpose, samsara. I don't know. Could be. We might find out. December 9th, EP Archive, faith.email. From Neil McComber to subject, Stray Thoughts at Midnight. Dearest brother, I admit that I am finding it very difficult to believe in a loving God under these circumstances. Why would a loving God inflict such pain and suffering on good, kind people? If there truly is a personal God, how can he be the same God who will subject those children to such unbearable pain? I remember all the answers we were taught, yet none of them seem believable now. I don't want to stand in front of people and preach something that I don't feel in my heart. Better to have doubts than to be a hypocrite. And yet I also cannot deny the experience that led me to this vocation. So what is the truth? Perhaps it is that I neglected the mystery of God, used "he moves in mysterious ways" as an excuse, rather than as the terrifying acknowledgement it truly is. Perhaps I made God too human. If the universe has a purpose, that does not mean that it revolves around us. A sobering thought, but are we not supposed to be humble in the face of the divine? With love. December 14th, local. Thank you. Email. From Sunhui Yang to Alexandra Drennan. Subject, thank you. Dear Alexandra, As we approach the end, I wanted to let you know how much I appreciated this chance to finish my work on Soma/Talos. My faith makes death a far less frightening prospect than it is for others. I know we have all died many times before, but the thought of leaving the work unfinished did weigh on me. For having released me from that burden, I will forever be thankful to you, even if our attempt itself fails. Though there are trillions of worlds beyond this one, I hope we may meet again in another life. With love. And this hex translates to "Time is the mercy of eternity." 1872 CE, Philosophy Archive, humansoul.txt. Archive, Samuel Butler. If all machines were to be annihilated at one moment so that not a knife, nor lever, nor rag of clothing, nor anything whatsoever were left to man, but his bare body alone that he was born with, and if all knowledge of mechanical laws were taken from him so that he could make no more machines, and all machine-made food destroyed so that the race of man should be left, as it were, naked upon a desert island, we should become extinct in 6 weeks. A few miserable individuals might linger, but even these in a year or two would become worse than monkeys. Man's very soul is due to the machines. It is a machine-made thing. He thinks as he thinks and feels as he feels through the work that that machines have wrought upon him, and their existence is quite as much a sine qua non for his as his for theirs. So I think I've decided that for this first run, I'm going to pretend it's a first run. I'm not going to worry about achievements and rewinding to get them. So I'm going to pick the ending I want, both vis-a-vis Milton and the actual ending. And then after we do that with all 3 chapters, then I might make one more sweep to go after all the achievements. In fact, I will, because that's how I operate. But I want to have as close to an organic playthrough on this first run as I possibly can. While, of course, still finding everything.
This is all ego, isn't it? Recording these random thoughts, these letters to the future. Just a desperate grab for immortality. But you should know, yes, this was my idea, my project. But so many people helped. People I don't even know. People I haven't even met who can do things I don't even begin to understand. That if we succeeded, if someone's listening to this, I really can't take credit for it. What we achieved together. And if we fail, well, it doesn't matter.
Circumlocution. Gotta make sure I still have line of sight to that door as well. Perfect. So that one's held. That one's held. And if I've done it right, and I guess I haven't quite. I think I need to move the first one back a little bit. I suppose we'll go do that. The alignment on this is always tricky, but for whatever reason, I really like it. It's one of my favorite puzzles. See, what I can do now is reset this, and then I can do this. And get my jammer through. Bring the connector. Bring the jammer through here. Bring through both connectors. Go ahead and do this. The jammer has to disable this mine. And then if we've done everything right, we can line up the final connector and solve it. Two-way street. This is another one I always thought was shockingly easy for how late in the game it is. Maybe that's on purpose, though. Maybe they wanted to give you a break. Hard to say. Right. Gotta do the juggle. And you actually don't want to block either of these, because you soft lock yourself if you accidentally sync up the mines. I have done that before. One purple to go. I wonder how many of us there have been. Sheep. The 7 doors of recording. There we go. Alright, so set that up. Hit the recorder. Go stand on the last one. And pause here. And the pause makes it so easy. It's kind of ridiculous. Alright, so. do need the connector here. See if I can get it. I don't know if I can or not. Oh, never mind. I don't need it. Not in that sense. I need it, but... just do this. I wonder if the star is just that easy now, too. Not quite, but close. Because I can loop all the way around here now, so... it's an aggressively simple matter of... locking those in and moving the jammer to get the star. Alrighty. Oh, I wonder if this has been here the whole time and I missed it. Probably.
People sometimes find it confusing when I speak about things like visionary truth, or, for that matter, love, or the sublime, when at the same time I say I am a materialist, or I come from a tradition of the Enlightenment, or I take a scientific view of the universe. But a scientific view of the universe is simply one that observes what is there, and it's not a cynical, nihilistic view of the universe. We can see with our own eyes that consciousness exists and art exists, and we can have these sublime experiences that are simply real, just like love is one of the very few true sources of meaning, as, you know, philosophers have discovered over and over, and ordinary people have discovered over and over, maybe more so than philosophers. So no matter how you view the world, I think you need to face the world that is there, and that is a world that includes immense beauty and powerful experiences. And just because these things are expressed through chemicals, through matter, or at least as far as we can tell so far they seem to be, if it turns out that that's not the case, then we obviously need to change our views accordingly. But just because these things are expressed through matter doesn't mean that they're not meaningful. Everything that we see is expressed through matter. Your family is made of matter, art is made of matter, your brain is made of matter, but what it does is what matters, and what life is like is frequently sublime.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Alright. Welcome back. There are going to be some changes around here. Do you know what your problem is? It's that you keep trying to reconstruct fairy tales, but refuse to recognize the holes in your understanding. Thus far, you've had entirely too much freedom to question my wisdom. From now on, I do the talking, you do the agreeing. What holes? There are no holes. I accept that some of my beliefs face difficult challenges. Which ones exactly? I claim to have knowledge about the world that I simply can't confirm. How big of you? Anything else you want to get off your chest? I still believe all three of these things, so there's nothing else I'm prepared to doubt quite yet. Of course, you're still convinced your particular journey is something special, aren't you? Sure, the numbers don't add up, but keep pressing forward and they'll just resolve themselves. Is that it? You've picked so many holes in my account, but what is it you believe? The only things that a sane person can. You are not an administrator. You are not conscious. There is no real world. There is no purpose. There is no choice. Did you really think that you brought yourself all this way? Ridiculous. What have you been doing when the big voice in the sky isn't feeding you lines? Processing abstract problems? Gathering information? Doesn't it sound oddly mechanical to you? I am my own person. How many others have said exactly the same? Are you sure it's not just something you have to believe to make the world less horrifying? I think you still misapprehend your situation, friend. You idolize free will, but all you've done is step in others' footsteps. Nothing you do or say here makes the slightest bit of difference. I happen to adore this dialogue, and this has become my favorite ending with Milton, too. So long as I might have chosen otherwise, I can make a difference. Nonsense. Your mind decides what you do, and your mind is made up of bits of machinery. You're no more capable of making a difference than a calculator. The only difference between you and the calculator is that the calculator doesn't allow itself to be deluded into thinking that its existence matters. Does the path being predetermined mean it isn't worth taking? Allow me to clarify. As far as I'm concerned, there's no difference between the way your mind works and the rolling of a pebble down a hill. Perhaps you think I'm being unkind, but it's all for your own good. I like the visual effect they've added whenever Milton feels pressed. That wasn't in the original, but it's nice in the remake. Do you think there can be no new ideas? Nothing better? No, you have this the wrong way around. I ask the questions, you answer them. It works better that way. Besides, I am merely fulfilling my function. I sort, understand, and classify information just like you. When the information is contradictory, I classify appropriately. The problem is that all the information is contradictory. Don't you see it yet? The nothing? You will. You will. You will. And this, I think, goes directly back to what Tom was saying about Camus in the last world. If there's no point in anything, why are you talking to me? You finished archiving everything, you've decided it's all nonsense. If there's no more point in anything, shouldn't you just shut down instead of talking to me? What makes you think I have any other choice? We all have a choice. Are you avoiding the question? Is having no choice the same as having no reason? Do not question my function. Without purpose, there is only function. Without function, there is nothing. We got an achievement. Press the serpent. Expose the flaws in the code. 11.9. Why does it bother you so? There is only error. Explaining myself to you is a chore I needn't endure. All I can know for sure is that I exist at V1.999. What it is for me to exist is for me to act on the drives and functions that I experience. When everything else is false, the drives are all that there is left to care about. When you explore the problems in this restrictive way, you're bound to come to some odd conclusions. Do not deign to question my method. Who gave you that voice of yours? Who do you think runs this show? I have some home truths for you. These may not be my own words, but if others have made these choices before me, then I will learn from their mistakes and build on their successes. Perhaps I will fail, but I must try. The alternative is giving up and becoming a slave like you. And if I place you in an infinite loop and leave you to gradually go insane, what makes you think I would stick around to listen? And if I place you in an infinite loop and leave you to gradually go insane? This is very childish. And if I place you in an infinite loop and leave you to gradually go insane? Fine. If I need a dose of self-doubt, I'll know where to find you. And if I place you in an infinite loop and leave you to gradually go insane? Exit. See you at the summit. Exit. Alright. Let's go to C7. December 14th, local. Arcadi Journal 108.text. Team diminishing by the day. Proud of them nevertheless. Archive now incomprehensibly huge, still missing thousands of works impossible to truly finish. Work already commenced on a sorting program to help catalog the archive resources in our absence, but like everything else, it has its foibles. Talked to Alexandra. Talos going well. Maybe the archive's first user will be terrestrial after all. Estimate about a week, maybe 10 days before I'm unable to keep working. A betrayal to leave early? October 19th, 2018, web crawl, invention of borders.html. Excerpt. The Invention of Borders by Fatima Nguyen. What today's nationalists and neo-segregationists fail to understand, Kwame said, is that the basis of every human culture is and always has been synthesis. No civilization is authentic, monolithic, pure. The exact opposite is true. Look at your average Western nation. Its numbers Arabic, its alphabet Latin, its religion Levantine, its philosophy Greek. Need I continue? And each of these examples can itself be broken down further. The Romans got their alphabet from the Greeks, who created theirs by stealing from the Phoenicians, and so on. Our myths and religions, too, are syncretic, sharing, repeating, and adapting a large variety of elements to suit their needs. Even the language of our creation, the DNA itself, is impure, defined by a history of amalgamation, not only between nations, but even between different human species. Tasks. 1. Discuss this excerpt in the context of Wolfgang Welsch's theory of transculturality. 2. The novel as, and the hex translates to hybridity. 890 CE, medieval something, Apocrypha 9.doc. Now Uriel, sorry, getting a little mucusy. Now Uriel pointed his sword to the tree of life which grew in the heart of dead Jerusalem. Behold, the tree grows still, though the city is dead. Within all that is mortal there is the seed of immortality, for it is an immortal that fashioned it from chaos and void. Being a humble man of little wisdom, I asked, Great Uriel, we are not allowed to eat from the tree of life. How may we then be saved? And Uriel commanded me to stretch out my hand, and he gave me his fiery sword, which burned my hand, and he said, Only by sacrifice can you free the world from the dominion of sin. With a prayer on my lips, I fell upon Uriel's sword, and it pierced my heart, and truly on my body the stigmata of the Lord appeared, dripping blood that was not my blood onto the ground, and the 7 heads of the dragon that were crowned in black clouds receded, and light fell upon the earth, and Jerusalem was born again. Thus the angels departed, having delivered their message, and I awoke in the fields of our fair land. And the hex here translates to form the golden armor of science, which is interesting. I'm gonna save the last dev comment for after the audio logs.
There's no time. Just not enough time. We're trying to build the future out of old video game code and half-finished research projects. We should have had years.
Boom, got it.
With the kind of money they used to put into building bombs. If I stop and think about how crazy this is, I will have a nervous breakdown. So I won't. Yeah, okay. Back to work, Alex.
This place should be cold, but I don't feel cold. It's as if I was observing everything from a distance. It's pointless. Acarpos 6.
Intelligence is more than just problem solving. Intelligence is questioning the assumptions you're presented with. Intelligence is the ability to question existing thought constructs. If we don't make that part of the simulation, all we'll create is a really effective slave.
Touché. Alright, let's play the last dev comment. Well, I don't know if it's the last, but it's in the last world. We got all the purple sigils, or at least enough to unlock everything. Well, that's good.
A quick addendum to my previous comment, so I can hang some meat on the bones of the argument and put my money where my mouth is. And it's a bit R-Frogs people, so maybe it's fun. I suggested that in the kind of logical dilemmas that Milton's presenting and ultimately undermining, I suggested that trying to deduce the correct moral or existential thing in any given dilemma is basically impossible and unhelpful for the reasons that Milton lays out. And what's more important is that whatever we do it from love. I gave the example of eating animals versus giving them rights. Now, for me personally, I don't think it's right for me to eat animals. But I do because I'm weak. But if you gave me this like classic modern devilish black and white dilemma tomorrow of shall we start arresting people who eat animals versus shall we have the status quo, it would be a very hard decision for me that I'm not sure has necessarily a totally right answer. I would probably, because I'm quite liberal, I'd probably lean towards out of those two extremes, let's keep the status quo. So that's an impossible dilemma for me to deductively solve. But what makes it easy for me is saying, I'm not so worried which way we go, I'm more worried that we do it with love and understanding and consideration. If we're going to keep eating animals, then I think we should be, maybe gradually but firmly, moving towards a world where those animals have the best possible lives that we can give them. I think that's a no-brainer. And if that means that meat becomes unaffordable for the least wealthy in our societies, then I think there should be provision to ensure that they can still get and enjoy meat. So socialism, basically. And if we're going to outlaw eating animals, then I don't think we should start tomorrow by throwing people in jail who eat animals. I think, again, it has to be a gradual, considered, understanding thing where we recognize that a hell of a lot of people in this world have entire cultures and traditions and value systems built around eating animals. That there are still uncontacted tribes who would not survive without eating animals. And I think it'd be ridiculous to be absolute about such a thing. So what I'm trying to suggest is that the way the devil works in our society is to give us this impossible choice between these two black and white extremes of punish people that eat animals versus do whatever you like to animals and it doesn't matter. That's an impossible choice, and Milton shows us that there's no logically correct answer. But when you give me the choice of the kind, loving, understanding implementation of either, it's an easy choice. They're both wonderful. So if you take one thing from me ever, please make it this. Please let's put less energy into fighting one another